In 1906, in place name Oklahoma, Brannigan is trying to escape from three men wearing sheriff badges riding on horse, Dugan Stillwell and their leader, Ketchum. No matter how fast he runs, though, Brannigan is still shot and captured by three men. Ketchum kicks him a couple of times, asking for the location of another man they've been chasing for, but Brannigan won't confess about him. This encouraged Ketchum into tying Brannigan to a horse and dragging him through the ground until he finally speaks about the other man. The man they're looking for has gone east. Then, instead of freeing him, Ketchum kills Brannigan. Meanwhile, old Henry McCarthy and his teenage son Wyatt are working hard on their farm. Henry grew up in New York and traveled all over the world before settling down as a farmer in Oklahoma. Sadly, he lost his wife due to tuberculosis, but her brother Al comes often to give him a hand and be an uncle to Wyatt. Their life is neutral and pleasant. The only thing that often causes arguments between them is Wyatt's need to travel and learn to shoot a gun, but Henry won't allow him to do either. It's still early in the day when they suddenly see a lost horse passing by with a bloodstain on its saddle and no rider. While Wyatt takes the scared animal to the farm, Henry takes his own horse and goes to investigate the area. Eventually he finds an unconscious man on the ground. His name is Curry, and he has been shot on the shoulder, so Henry covers the wound with some mud and a handkerchief. Then Henry finds a gun and a satchel full of money for him, which tells him there's trouble going on that he doesn't want to be involved in it. However, he barely takes a few steps away from Curry before he feels bad for him. So he comes back, picks up all the things he have, and after getting rid of any proof they've been there, he takes Curry back to the farm with him. Together with Wyatt, they put Curry on a bed and treat his wound. Once night falls, Henry takes the gun and the satchel with the money which he collected from Curry and hide them in a secret compartment in his closet, unaware that Wyatt his son is spying on him through the space under the door. The following morning, Henry decides the wound won't get better if they don't remove the bullet from his body, so he'll go to town to fetch a doctor. But before leaving, he ties Curry to the bed and leaves the knife he uses to cut the rope on the dining table. Once his Henry is gone, Wyatt goes to Henry's closet to check out the hidden compartment where Henry has hid the gun and money. After seeing the money in the satchel, Wyatt grabs the gun and takes it outside to practice shooting on a bottle, although it takes him a few tries to hit the target. Back in the house, Curry is hearing the shots in Curry's sleep. He dreams of the night his house was burned and his family killed while the culprit told him to keep his head down. Shortly afterward, Wyatt returns to put the gun back in the hiding closet and takes the chance to open a box Henry has hidden there a long time ago. Inside the box he finds another gun and a bunch of newspaper clips mentioning various crimes around the town. Speaking of Henry, on the way to town, he discovers Ketchum and his men have been following the trail Curry left behind. Stillwell is such a good tracker that he can tell that someone has covered Curry's tracks. So now the trio knows their victim is working with someone else. These men hear some noises in the grass and shoot, but luckily Henry is already running away before they could find him. Back on the farm, Wyatt notices that one of the ropes around Curry's hands is kind of loose and his other hand has been covered with a blanket. When Wyatt removes that blanket, he discovers the rope is gone from his one hand, so Curry takes the chance and stops pretending he's asleep and frees himself. Grabbing the knife from the dining table, he jumps on Wyatt and swears he wouldn't like to hurt him, he just wants his satchel and gun back from them. At that moment, Henry returned back and kicks Curry off from his son before punching him until he loses consciousness again. Afterward, they tie Curry to a chair and wake him up. Having decided that it's too dangerous to go to town for search of doctor, Henry proceeds to use a heated knife to take out the bullet from Curry's body while asking some questions about him. Wriggling and crying with pain, Curry says he's a lawman, and that Henry and Wyatt should leave before it's too late. The bullet is removed, but before Henry can ask some more questions, Ketchum and his men appear outside the house. Henry goes to grab Curry's gun and smells it has been already shot, so he reloads it before going outside. Ketchum introduces himself as a sheriff and his partners as his deputies to Henry, then explains that they're looking for Curry, who is a dangerous criminal and a killer pretending to be a sheriff. Curious about Henry, Ketchum begins asking Henry some questions about his personal life, taking a special interest when he hears his name as McCarthy, because there was a criminal many years ago with the same last name as Carthy. Henry tells them that he has no family, so it can't be a relative of the criminal, and he hasn't seen anyone fitting Curry's description either, so he dismisses the trio men. Before leaving, Ketchum reminds them to lock their doors tonight. Then Henry goes back to the house. He slaps Wyatt for using the gun. Wyatt only wanted to know what it feels like because he's the only boy in the area that was never taught to fire a weapon, so he had to teach himself. Henry slaps him again for the word he says, So Wyatt insults him and calls him worthless, claiming Henry will be left alone to die because he'll leave the farm as soon as he's able. Not wanting to think about how much that hurt, Henry goes back to interrogate his prisoner again. Curry explains he's the real sheriff, and the trio are bank robbers and they stole the badges from Curry's deputies. After killing them, he managed to recover the money but was hurt in the process. So he passed out and fell from his horse while escaping from them, only to wake up here on the farm later. Why Ketchum didn't shoot Henry is a mystery to Curry, but he's sure they'll be back. Meanwhile, Ketchum and his men discuss what to do next. They don't believe Henry, and they wonder why he's helping a stranger. Perhaps he was promised a cut of the money to him. Dugan doesn't understand why they didn't shoot him, considering they were 3 against 1. So Ketchum explains something weird is going on. He doesn't think Henry is doing this for the money, and he didn't exactly hold the gun like a farmer holds. What they need to do is gather some information about Henry so Dugan will keep an eye on the farm while Ketchum and go hire some guns and pay out a visit. Night falls, and Henry makes Wyatt go inside before he finishes his farm chores because it's too dangerous to stay out this late. Later same night, Henry feeds Curry some soup himself.